当年进步了那把就接呀上草啊东就接小把接色也让个人也说话也给我将些大给接色吧。堂姐大给上家些我呀啥也不知小也没多种。是说林业你的肩膀的从前很多没的破坏沿着归弄到一些学吧呀三界能接上吧同落叶写着记得了其中多么提拔也去见苦乐过了多少。
Namo Layi Kedan Ludan Nijini Ke Chubum Tada Mi Ke Namdan Rowa Kunje Daki Che Zambar Tam Che Kedo Daki Chu Ten To Dacha Ke Temba Nyame Tupe Wambu Shabje Dur Chimame Bala Gowe Rabdu Dede Gosum Kupa Chembe Chansarshin Jabsun Chiwo Dacha ki parden lama rida jinkuri janchu chabda kajin tsomba mebe terchambon choke shabjedur mame bala gowe rabdu tede gosum kubachembe chansarshin jabsu chiwo dado semjian tamchiji ju jinje labar zedu sol Palden Tsawe Lama Rimbo Che Dagi Chiwuripeme Dejula Garden Chimbugone Je Zonde Go Song Tuje Ngudrup Zaldu Soro Wona Namkatan Nyambe Semchen Tamchan Namchan Lanameba Yang Daba Zobe Sanjiji Kompan Rumbochela Gobar cha deyi chedo talam tambi chu samon chepala chu nyembe kunhonda kunche nambaradabe senthal. Today, as I was requested, I will be elaborating on prophecies. Actually, the prophecy by definition is Buddha Shakyamuni, after his enlightenment, then past and present and future are not dualistic. They are part and parcel of each other. Ultimately, time is relative. Therefore, what Buddha manifested is events of the past, of many, many eons, and also the cosmology of infinite space with infinite amount of universe and galaxies and so on and so forth. How they come about, how they continue, how they come to an end. At the same time, one is rising, another one is ending, so on and so forth. So that is there in an enormous detail. And I will not go into this because right now we have only 45 minutes. In this, what I am sharing with you here, I want it to be truly, personally, timely, relevant as possible. So I should, and I will do my best. But I must base on prophecy. Okay? Now, Buddha prophesied, and also Guru Padmasambhava prophesied. They're all same in outcome. And although Buddha, by definition, is the potential of you, potential of me, and potential of everyone, our innate, primordial potential. Each one of us have limitless potential. And when that potential is fully matured, awakened, not only discovered, but awakened and become, you become what you ultimately always has been. Then that is what we call Buddhahood. It is not becoming something else and someone else. You become you. But your ultimate, your primordial, your true, ultimate potential, limitless. And now, based on that, then what happened in the past, what is happening right now, what will happen in the future, they're all spelled out by Buddha Shakyamuni and also by Guru Padmasambhava. The gap between Buddha Shakyamuni and Guru Padmasambhava is many centuries, but the essence is the same. And now, since the subject is Guru Rinpoche, Guru Padmasambhava's prophecy, okay. You should understand this is exactly what Buddha Shakyamuni also prophesied in his teachings. So, Guru Padmasambhava said that the teaching of Buddha, everybody call Buddhism, as we know today, it will last. Its purity and relevance, because the blessing, the knowledge, the wisdom, the lineage of all of it will live 5,500 years. So out of that, we are 2,500 plus. But it is also mentioned that if the disciples, the followers, the practitioners, the teachers, the gurus, the monks, nuns, everyone, if they go in a contaminated manner, if, let's make it very straight, if they corrupt that pure teachings of Buddha, then it will degenerate. Then lifespan of Buddha's teaching will not be 5,500 years. Very clearly mentioned. And what will be the cause? And who will be responsible for the degeneration of the Lord Buddha's teaching is the teachers who are teaching the Buddha's teaching, if they are not teaching according to Lord Buddha's genuine original teaching, which we call teaching of the lineage, and also they will not live the teaching. If they become corrupted, then the teaching will not last for 5,500 years. But then it is also mentioned the outer shell, look-alike Buddhism, will last for tens of thousands of years. And books will last for tens of thousands of years. The dogmas and the institutions will last for tens of thousands of years, of course. But the genuine teaching is 5,500 years. So in this context, then now we can go one step further. And in Prophecies, how the entirety of the humanity is described, then we have to look at the Sanskrit terminology, Satyuga or Krita Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So Satyuga means light, the day, and that is Yuga means the time span of a life of a universe, life of a galaxy, life of a planet, solar system. Solar system, a galaxy, and universe. So all of these have its own life circle. And in that cycle, then Satyuga is when everything is perfect. So when everything is perfect, then there is no negativity. When everything manifests, then there's no need for desire or attachment, and it will not arise, and there is no anger and aggression, it will not arise. There's no lineage of attachment, and there's no lineage of anger, and there's no lineage of ignorance, and there's no lineage of jealousy, and there's no lineage of ego pride, and so on and so forth, and fear, etc. When it does not occur in that particular yuga that is described as a Satyug or Krita Yuga, and light eon or day eon, if you like. So unfortunately, I am not in this right now, and we are all not in this right now, but some individuals who are awakened, for them it is like that. But for general, let's say, beings in our solar system, our galaxy, our universe are not in this yuga. And then another yuga, if not Satyug or light eon or day eon, then it will be Kali Yuga, dark eon or night eon, positive, negative sense. So then we are unfortunately in this eon, Kali's Yuga. Now, what makes the Kali Yuga is because basically our primordial wisdom, its manifestation is corrupted and degenerated, then it is degenerated into 5 defilement. For example, the Dharma space. Ultimate sense, everything is perfect. And everything is part and parcel of the Dharma space, which is emptiness, voidness, but not the negative emptiness. Everything is perfect. That is the first wisdom. And when we don't realize this, then it becomes ignorance. So how does ignorance manifest? Ignorance manifests as a self, I. Long as we limit ourselves to me, I, then everything else will fall into that direction. So that degeneration and that corruption lead to the next. So when I becomes predominant, then I like the attachment. I like certain things. I like it this way. I like this feeling, etc., etc. So that will manifest. I will not go into the details of the 5 wisdom, which will take so much time, but I will just mention the names and the order. So Dharma space wisdom, discernment wisdom, mirror-like wisdom, and equanimity wisdom, all accomplished wisdom. So when they are not recognized and realized, and then we get corrupted into ignorance, lash, aggression, ego pride, and jealousy. So how bad they are, we all know, because all of us have our fair share of suffering and shortcomings because of our ego, because of our greed, because of our aggression, because of our ego pride, not just the self, but ego pride, and then jealousy. It is very, very strange, actually, when we think about it. But for us, it is very normal because we are in Kali's Yuga. In Kali's Yuga, all these 5 defilement or 5 neurosis or 5 poisons are normal. So this way, out of ignorance, greed, and then when we don't get what we want, then we get angry. And if we get what we don't want, then we get angry. So these 3 is the base. We call it 3 main poison. Poison means it destroys the joy, the happiness, the compassion, the love, the kindness, and the wisdom. It destroys these. Therefore, they are called poisons. And outcome, the 2 of them are very, very clear. For example, what is the ego pride? Ego pride is when I get what I want very easily, and when I see others don't get what they want easily, and they have to struggle, then instead of feeling appreciative of what I have and feeling compassionate to those others, having sympathy and empathy towards the others, then it becomes ego pride. Then ego pride makes yourself unhappy, because ego pride makes us arrogant. An arrogant person is never happy because it doesn't make others happy. And when you're arrogant towards others who are less than you, then it creates suffering within yourself and with others. And disharmony starts right there. And another example is even more clear, that is jealousy. Because jealousy is very, very transparent in its fallacy. For example, excuse me, when somebody is in trouble and somebody is suffering, you don't feel jealous. The jealous only comes when somebody is doing well. Don't you think that's terrible? And that naturally leads to then this evil aspect of enjoyment, almost euphoric enjoyment of others' suffering. The result of that, the outcome of that is self-explanatory throughout the history. All kind of disharmony, all kind of conflicts, all kind of inflicting harms on the others. We make ourselves we, and then them, and then inflict suffering on them is sort of pride of us. And that's terrible, but that is the definition of Kali's Yuga. And so that's jealousy. And then another very strange thing is, it's actually idiotic, but it's easy to say, but when it happens, you know. So for example, when some stranger who you have no connection, you don't know, not your friend, not your relative, nothing to do with what you're supposed to be, then if they're having a very big celebrations and all kind of wonderful things, you admire and you talk about it and you try to copy it and all kinds of things. There's no jealousy. But if the other one who is really having the glorious, let's say, a pinnacle time, then if that one is your relative or your friend or your kind or something like that, then there is a big chance for you to develop jealousy. Then jealousy means somebody is happy, make you unhappy. Somebody is glorious, make you unhappy. And that naturally means, not spoken easily, but I will say it. That means that when that person is doing little bit less well than you are, then you will not have jealous, you know? So I will not go further. It's too negative. But you have to face the definition of these 5 poisons. You have to face, I have to face, we all have to face. I don't mean I don't have 5 poisons. Of course I have 5 poisons. That's why I'm not enlightened, I'm not Buddha yet. Then how can I talk about it? Because of the lineage of the Lord Buddha's teaching, and that is continued. So within this 5,500 period, then when you receive the genuine lineage and you do your best to live it, then you can talk about it. So that is the basic definition of Kali's Yuga and then Satya Yuga, light eon and or day eon and positive eon, and then dark yuga or night yuga or negative eon. So that is the definition that what I have mentioned. So what happens in this yuga? Then there is the time period of disease. It is mentioned in Tibetan language, Nechikalpa, Tsunjikalpa, Mugikalpa. So Nechikalpa means the time period of disease, all kind of disease. And then Tsunjikalpa means the time period of weapons, all kind of weapons. And then Mugikalpa means time period of starvation, the starvation of food, their life sustenance. So through what we went in the past 1.5 years, almost 2 years, it is quite self-explanatory of the time of pandemic, this disease. And then it is prophesied that there will be all kind of disease, and disease that we have never heard of, and disease that we don't have cure. We don't know how to cure. In the principle of Lord Buddha's teaching, you cannot have a disease which does not have a cure in principle, yes. But if disease is so abnormal and unusual, then we did not discover the cure. Therefore, it is bad as if there is no cure. But then, of course, there is a cure. And every kind of terrible disease that happened in the past, we found cure and remedy. And any kind of disease that will happen in the future, of course, we will find a cure and remedy. But since they are the definition of time of the disease means the disease after disease after disease after disease, so that cannot catch up with discovering the cure for the disease and cure for the disease. So that way it becomes a terrible time for all sentient beings, and particularly human beings we are talking about, but all sentient beings suffer. Then weapon also same, because there's no end for what kind of weapons possible, because possibility cannot be limited. So during this time period of Tsunjikalpa, the time of the weapon, then there will be no end and no limit for the power of the weapon, and the damage and suffering and suffering that the weapon can inflict. So that is described as a Tsunjikalpa. Then the Mukikalpa means starvation. Now here, the starvation is, of course, always exist, but when it is a period of the starvation means entire humanity suffers the starvation. Just like entire humanity suffers the weapon, entire humanity suffers the disease, the same way entire humanity suffers the starvation. And all of that is coming from these 5 poison or 5 corruption, 5 defilement. And then that goes very clearly with 5 elements. For example, like ignorance, it is like the space. It is so vast, so perfect, and so pure. But when it is not recognized and not realized, not mastered, then it is enormous, overwhelming. Then other elements are like fire, water, earth, air. The 4 elements which manifest within the element of the space. And so 5 elements and 5 neuroses are connected. Not only connected, it is part and parcel. And then that is also part and parcel of 5 wisdom, 5 primordial wisdom. When it is not realized and corrupted and degenerated, then it manifests as a 5 poison. And that manifests as all kinds of sufferings that we have just described and learned. Now, then when we talk about corruption, okay, actually there is 5 defilement, or not, defilement is not exactly the right word. Degeneration is a better word. 5 degeneration and 5 corruption. So let me describe them one by one. The first is corruption or degeneration of life. Then maybe degeneration is much more easier for us to relate to. So degeneration of life. Now that is life itself. We might live a few years longer or a few years shorter, but quality of life is such that we are not able to live true, happy, positive, conducive, and pinnacle level of life. We are not able to. We just look for it. We just dream about it. We just run after it. But as we run after it, then life is not long. In our time, people live 70, 80, 90, 100 plus, 110, 115 are very, 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 very rare. And most people die somewhere 70, 80, 90, somewhere there. And then many people die very young. And also many people die just during the birth. That means didn't even live one day. And many people die inside the mother and not even born. So it is still part and parcel of the mother, but not yet have his or her own life. So that is a degeneration of life, one example. These are these are characteristics of Kali's Yuga, the eon. So that's one. And then the second one is degeneration of affliction or defilement, which I have just mentioned, the ignorance at the lash and greed, etc. 5 defilement I have mentioned. So that becomes a very normal thing. Everybody don't have to learn about it. Nobody have to learn about it. Everybody have it. How to be jealous, nobody have to learn it. Everybody have it. And how to be aggressive, how to be greedy, all these things, some people have more and some people have less, but we all have these naturally learn by ourselves. And then next, the third degeneration is degeneration of time. So the time has so many periods of time. But our time is described as a time of conflict and a time of disharmony. So we look anywhere, there is disharmony between ideology, a conflict between ideology, conflict between religion, conflict between ethnicity, conflict between countries, conflict between continents, and conflict, not only that, so many kind of conflict. But this one is particularly describing the conflict time, not a time of absolute peace. This is time of conflict. And what should we do about it? Of course, we should do our best to overcome this conflicting jealousy, ego, greed, hatred, or all these things we have to do our best to overcome, and we have to assist and help humanity, of course, and all sentient beings, of course. But so the time, degeneration of time is this. The next is the degeneration of being. So this one, very interesting, because one description of this is degeneration of sentient being, particularly human beings, of course. It is very difficult, and it is challenging to create and assist somebody to be a good person. Very difficult. But of course, it is done, of course. Many good people. The world has so many good people, of course, but not easy. And then somebody is really, let's say, fostered to be a good person. Then successful 1 year, successful 1 decade, successful 2 decades, like that. But then all of a sudden, some circumstances, some environment, then that can ruin all of that effort. And that wonderful person can become a terrible person. There's that possibility. Of course, we should be positive. So somebody is terrible, and that person have all the chance, all the possibility to be wonderful person, of course. But in this degenerating time, then to become a perfect, good, kind, compassionate, wise, and a person full of wisdom is not easy task to foster. And so that is degeneration of being. And at the same time, in ancient religion of Tibet or system of Tibet before Buddhism, so Buddhism came to Tibet. Buddhism came to Tibet a long time after Buddha's paranirvana. So before that, there was a religion called Bon. In the Bon, there is something equivalent to this is described, which describes the degeneration of the body, the physical body, because the body is so fragile, and it is prone to so many disease, and also the sustenance for the body, which is food, water, solid food, the liquid food, the water, the air, all of this degenerate so much, so that in let's say eon of the light, let's say 1 spoonful of food, its nutrition. Then in the eon of the night or the darkness, then 1 ton of food does not have 1 ton, I'm just saying, but enormous amount of food does not have the equivalent nutrition of 1 spoon of food that time. So that is degeneration of body according to the Bon. But in the Buddha's teaching, then the degeneration of being means not only the body, not only the food, but the quality of a person. So that. And then the last one, the degeneration of the view, or the degeneration of the perception. Now, the degeneration of the perception and the view is how everything falls apart in individual life, as well as in society's life, as well as life as an entire humanity, as well as all the humans and the animals who live on this planet. Not only that, all the humans, all the animals, all the spirits, and all the gods, and everyone live in this solar system, live in this galaxy, live in this universe. They all degenerate because for example, suffering is not recognized truly. So the suffering is misunderstood or perceived as joy and happiness. I give you one simple example. People raise all kind of animals that will cause fear in other more peaceful animals. And then these more ferocious looking and powerful-looking animals are used by humans against those more peaceful animals. And then human beings use these animals for their aid to scare those weaker and more vulnerable animals. And then that suffering is appreciated. And in Tibetan language, we have like ngunchi, means hunting dog. So the hunters use dogs. And these dogs will go after deer or bear or whatever they are hunting. And then they corner them and people go after it. And then people kill the animal and they have a joy out of it. Of course, a long time back in cave dwelling humans time, they have to kill animals for sustenance and for living. But then for many of human beings who enjoy and glorify the suffering of animal, then actually they are and we are. I never have to do such thing because that didn't happen in my life, but could have happened, but didn't happen. But then we don't have to hunt to live because whatever kind of protein that we need is available. And it is also somebody else's livelihood to provide those things to us. But we enjoy the suffering of others. And also when I was, let's say, in my 20s, I have been very active among, because I was invited from village to village, from community to community, and there I tell people to stop gambling and stop getting drunk, become alcoholic, stop taking drugs, and things like that. I did a lot. I mean, not enough at all, but I did. And so this way, I found out that the people who normally it's a men, so wives come to me and ask me to tell their husband to stop gambling and stop taking drugs and stop taking alcohol. Many times like that, not always, but many times. So then I talk to these people, these gentlemen, and ask them, stop drinking. And actually, stopping drinking is much easier than stopping drugs and stopping gambling. Because stopping drinking, if the person really want to stop drinking, if they stop, then few days they become a little shaky, but after that they feel great. They look great. So that way, then they overcome being an alcoholic and become a somber person. Of course, alcohol itself is, of course, made out of grapes, made out of grain, barley, wheat, like that. Nothing wrong with that. But when people drink alcohol to get drunk, and then every day, then it is very bad for family, very bad for themselves, of course, very bad for their children, and very bad for the society. So that way, that's my experience. Drinking is the easiest one to overcome. But smoking and taking drugs are much, much difficult, because people who smoke a lot and take drugs, they have to come to me several times. This year, they say they will stop, and then next year they come, and when I'm in that area again, and they will show up and say, I'm very sorry, I broke my commitment, and I wanted to retake. So they take this vow not to take drugs and not to smoke like that several times, several years. Then finally they manage. And then gambling also similar to the smoking, because gambling is very interesting in my mind. When you gamble, it is I don't know the exact rules of the gambling, but they use cards, they use all kind of things. Some places they even use animals and like that. So the point is, you put minimum and you get maximum out of it, and then everybody wants it. So therefore, when others don't get it and you get it, then you get two things. One is you get very easy money. That's one thing. But another thing is you get a boost of some sort of temporary self-esteem. Oh, I am lucky. I won. I won. That means they lost. And so I think that is very addictive. And as a result of that, I guess, I found people to stop gambling is a little difficult. But finally, many people managed. So these are the view, the perception. So when perception is like that, and it is acceptable, then it becomes a degenerating factor. But of course, I am not against people having fun, and I see huge casinos and huge places. Some places in the airport, they have small machines. You put something, some coin, and pull something, and loads of coins come out, and all of those kind of things. If you're not addicted to it, it is not that negative, but you can get addicted to it. And I heard from old Tibetan persons that sometimes they used to gamble so much so that their house, their land, their everything that they put there, and then they lose everything. And one day you are a big landlord and a rich person, and next day you have nothing. You have lost everything. And then that is devastating for the society, devastating for the family, devastating for all the children and the relatives and the community and everyone. So that way, that is one example, but it's not only that. The degenerating of view is nothing is permanent, but we somehow wanted to believe that everything is permanent because I want it to be. Then something that is unhealthy, but because we have desire for it, so that we make it healthy. And when some person are very, very, very seriously alcoholic, when I told them stop drinking like that, then they told me, this is food, this is good, this is the essence of Bali, this is the essence of grave. It is a good, but of course it is good if you take it properly, but it is like a medicine. But then if you take a whole bottle of medicine, then you end up in the hospital, you know? So that way, it is the perception. And then the self, the I, that does not exist in a tangible manner. It is just a perception. And I exist as others exist. And when you think of yourself, how important you are for you, then you have to at the same time realize that how important they are to them. World, as you know, is about 8 billion people, and each one of them very important for themselves. They have their father, they have their mother, they have their brother, they have their sister. It's important and dear to them. So we have to have that correct understanding. But when we don't have that, then this wrong perception is that I am important and I want what I like, and that's it. So it shouldn't be like that. And I hope what I have said here is not too harsh for you or anybody. I don't mean to be, but it is very important for us to develop a true compassion and true love and kindness. True one. So how can you do that? You and I, we should develop true compassion, true love, and true kindness to ourselves first. We don't do anything that is harmful to ourselves. We do everything that is positive and meaningful and good to ourselves. You know, compassion means we don't create suffering to ourselves. And the loving kindness means we do everything to make ourselves feel positive as possible. So when we are able to do that, then we are able to at least have the taste of true joy and true absence of suffering. And then we can translate this, and we will translate this to others. If you don't love yourself, I sincerely feel and experience, if I can't love myself, it is just a sort of illusion that we love all sentient beings, because we don't know what is love, just a word. And so when we truly experience the love, the joy, the absence of suffering, absence of struggle, absence of negativity, then we know what is compassion, what is loving kindness. Then we want this for our family members. We want this for our neighbors. We want this for everyone, all parts of the world, regardless of religion, caste, creed, ideology, ethnicity, and not only human beings, to animals, to everything. And now I want to conclude here, but I will say a few things. That is, it is also prophesied that as this degenerating time happens, then the earth itself cannot sustain all the living beings on earth. The ocean cannot sustain. The land cannot sustain. The fresh water cannot sustain. So all of this is happening right now. Whether we like to believe it or not, I personally went to the top of the earth, Greenland. I want to go to the North Pole, but that didn't happen, but very close. And I went to all different parts of the world, and some places are really pristine and clean, but some places are really, really, really unhealthy. And it is the same ocean. One part is clean, one part is not so clean, one part is terrible. But it is one ocean. So it's like our right hand is totally, totally in mess. Our left hand is perfect, but then sooner or later, this is going to spread throughout our body. So the environmental degradation or degeneration is part and parcel of this whole thing. About that, Buddha have mentioned, and Guru Padmasambhava have mentioned. Actually, Guru Padmasambhava's one of the texts called Kathang, in that 96th chapter, have so much about prophecy related to Lord Buddha's teaching, and also the environmental degradation and all of this. Outside, environmental degradation. Inside, the sentient beings all killing each other, conflict with each other, and at the end, they don't even like themselves, and they don't even trust themselves. And so that way, it becomes truly desperate. And but I am not a believer of a doomsday. So Buddha never said that there will be a doomsday. So things will degenerate, and then finally, then it will regenerate and become better. So it is impermanent, Positive things are also impermanent. Negative things are also impermanent. Right now, all of us going through some difficult time, and this pandemic thing really made us truly realize, one, the virus, which we can't even see with our own eye, somehow, caused so much restrictions and sufferings for the entire world. And at the same time, we have so much progress, external progress, so much. We are going to the moons, we are going to the Mars, we know so much. So this way, I think we see the contrast so clearly, so that we know everything is interconnected, and negative interconnectedness outcome is negative, and positive interconnectedness is positive. So I sincerely request each and every one, for your sake, for my sake, for everybody's sake, be positive as possible. Even if it is difficult, just have the wish for it, have the aspiration for it. And then many of you are very positive people, of course, and you can do a lot. You are doing a lot. And my salutation to all of you, especially during this difficult time of pandemic, the doctors, nurses, scientists, and then the individuals and communities, organizations, they have done so much. They are doing so much. So all the best for everyone. And now I wanted to dedicate any benefit that this deliberation brought. I want to dedicate it for the benefit of all mother sentient beings, from the highest in the heaven to all the human beings and spirits and animals, and to the lowest in the hell. For all mother sentient beings' sake, I make the dedication. May they all be free from suffering. May they all be truly joyful. And may they all finally realize their primordial, perfect potential, primordial wisdom, innate. Usunamdi tamje zibanye tomne nyebe danam pamjene Jagananje balap trupai sipian solen rowa show and jambala pave chitara chamba kundu zangbo teyang tejin te teda kunje jeso daloj gewan de datamje rabtu ho jina dewa chosu pende namka chaparisho duna donghar dagi kur kowa donghar je janso tongbar show
什么事啊？报名日期就是从第一个就是说13天以前开始报名，就13截止。我现在不要讲截止，因为中文会误解啊，英文就 close on 就很清楚，就那天没有了。